There's that beautiful photo of you, I think with Homer, and when you are dressed.
Yes, and he's carving wood.
And he's carving wood, looking as though you were just born in that century, looking so at home.
He was an amazing man. I was single. I had 3 kids. He was single, had 2 kids. And we had both been divorced for several years. And our church had a bunch of guys or people got together and did a singles newsletter. And you could put in an ad, so-called, and you could talk about, to encourage someone to write to you. And the only way that you knew where the person was the first 3 numbers of a zip code.
Okay.
So his ad said, divorced single male, 47, interested in everything from art to zucchini, marginally civilized.
Oh, Carolyn. So you were in love with him before you even responded.
Oh, heck. My ad was that long, and it was everything I ever had been, everything I currently was, and everything I ever hoped to be interested in. Surely within that long expose, somebody would be interested, right? I knew that Mr. Marginally Civilized was somewhere in Idaho. One day I went out to the mail and opened it up, and here was a handmade letter, and the zip code was 83250. Mr. Marginally Civilized wrote to me first, and man, I went skipping across the parking lot, and I threw open the door, and I hauled up the stairs to the kids. I said, Mr. Marginally Civilized wrote to me first. Mr. Marginally Civilized had written 2 pages printed on both sides, single-spaced, as wide as narrow margins as you could get. I mean, it was huge. And he took me to task in the first paragraph because I said that something about Plymouth Rock chickens. And he said I didn't know what I was talking about. But the second paragraph, I was in love from then on. I mean, it was amazing.
What did it say?
I can't remember. I really can't remember. But it was, he talked about that he wrote poetry, and he talked about that he was a woodcarver, and he talked about this, that, and the other thing. And I thought,
And what, when you first met, face to face?
It was on Thanksgiving. He came.
So it's your anniversary.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes, he came. My kids they all went off somewhere after dinner, and we sat and talked and talked and talked. And when he left, so that Thursday, Friday, Monday in the mail, I got this matchbox in the mail, and inside the matchbox was a copper heart, and you lifted the lid off the copper heart, and here was a whole bunch of silver hearts attached underneath the copper lid, and no intimation of any furtherance of the relationship. So I got on the phone and I called him and I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "Nothing." I said, "Listen, something's wrong." "No, nothing's wrong." I said, "Listen, I'm a big girl." I said, "I want to know why I feel there's a cooling of the relationship." He says, "You look like my ex-wife." I said, "I do not. I've seen a picture of your ex-wife, and I don't look anything like her." And he said, "Well, I'm afraid if we had a relationship, I would slip and call you by her name." I said, "You were married to her for 25 years. Of course you were going to slip and call me by her name. I don't have a problem with that. However, in 25 years from now, if you're still doing it, then we'll have a problem."
A great response.
"Well, in that case, how would you like to come over to Pocatello and go to the year-end banquet with the Muzzle Loading Club?" And I said,
The
"Yeah."
Muzzle Loading Club.
Yeah,
What an invitation.
Oh, exactly. Well, this is where the women dressed in Indian leather dress.
Right.
So I said, "Absolutely." So the day of the banquet, I was gassing up at the service station on the truck route on the freeway, and there was a trucker there, and he says, "Which way you headed?" And I said, "East." He says, "You don't want to go that way." He said, "You're going to run into a horrible storm." I says, "I'm going, come hell or high water." And so I made it all the way there, except for the last 21 miles, and I slid off the road. So I had to get a wrecker to pull me out. And so I got to his house, and we went to the banquet. And as we came home from the banquet to his house, the state police were there closing the freeway off on all of the exits. And as we got to his house, and it was still snowing, and the next morning there was 2.5 feet of snow on the ground, and the snowplow had come down in front of his house, but it had blown some sort of hydraulic line. And so here was, you know, the squirted out stuff all over the snow, but that was where the snowplow ended. So his stuff was all plowed in. I couldn't get my truck out. I mean, it was fate. It was. 3.5 days later, he says, I have to marry you. He said, I live in a Mormon town of 722 Mormons, and I'm one of the only 2 Gentiles. I could never hold my head up. Everybody in town knows you've been here for 3 days. He says, we'll have to go to Nevada and get married.
Elope. Then, right there and then.
Yes.
You went and got married. And then you came back and told your kids. So how did
Exactly.
you telling your children that you were upping sticks and moving to France?
Shouldn't have surprised them
It
at all.
should never have surprised them, Carolyn.
I know, but they, I don't know. Anyway,
How romantic.
it was very romantic.
Beautifully romantic. Well, then I'm sure he would have loved it. To get back to the question, he would have loved it here then. He would have loved the spontaneity and the challenges,
Well, yes,
the
because
adventure.
the opportunities, the potential of this place and the garden. And
Yeah.
he would have been in hog heaven.
Yeah.
Plus, we probably would have gotten involved in reenacting somewhere. And there are a bunch of castles in different places that do reenacting in that time frame.
Wow.
But not quite like it was in America. But the opportunity would have been there to do that.
You did all those translations, didn't you, of the recipes, of
yes.
the cookbooks? And you still have those translations?
No, actually, I don't. I had a hard drive that crashed, and several terabytes worth of stuff. I need to find a way to see if somebody can retrieve it.
I'm sure if they could, though, would you reach out to this reenactment group and share some of that with them?
Oh, I don't even have to do that. All I had to do is get online and use Google Translate, and I do have all of the. On a different hard drive, I have all of the books that I...
That's more what I meant.
Yeah.
Out of the books and the translations. It would just be so good to share that knowledge.
It would be fun. I would have to make another outfit because I left all of that stuff behind.
But you've got your sewing machine.
But I've got my sewing machine, so I know how to do it. So we'll go. I could do that, yes. And I would enjoy that.
Well, yeah. And meet some great people.
Oh, it would be.
Like-minded people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Except it's funny because... somebody on the net, on YouTube said, oh, we need to introduce her to some sweet little French man. I said, no. I don't even want a German man. I don't want an Australian man. I don't want any man. I said, I really, when I get to heaven, I want to be able to say, hail fellow, well met to my husband. Mm. And I don't want somebody in between us or tagging along. I really don't want that. But... It's funny how everybody assumes you have to be with somebody to be happy. It would be nice. I mean, I wouldn't mind going out to coffee or dancing or dinner or whatever, but I don't know. I'm me. Besides, I'm way more than most men would want to handle.
That's probably the truth, isn't it? That's a great position to be in.
Yeah. Oh, heck yes.
If you enjoyed this video and would like to learn more about Homer's and my life, please watch this video next. And thank you for watching. A bientôt.